This is one of those videos where the moment captures me, but happened on the freeway. And a lot of videos are like this. They're kind of spontaneous. You know, the moment captures you, that little spark of inspiration and idea, and you better get it on the you better get it on the camera, or it'll be gone. So, in traffic, you try to find your way off. So, let me try to capture it. I was just riding along, and I was thinking about how my family is going to be here in about a month, and I was looking back on the past year, really almost 14 months total, that it will be since I've seen my family, since I came here. But I'll just call it a year. And I was thinking about back on this year and remembering what I'd done this year. And then I was comparing that to the ideas that I had when I came over. Especially when I began to realize after I got here that it wasn't going to be a 3 to 5 month deal. This was going to be a long wait, 9 months to a year. And when the awakening happened in my mind that I had basically a long time to myself, a year to myself, basically. Now that's a rare opportunity and experience for a man like me who's been wearing one of these since mid 30s. No, late 30s. No, earlier, come backwards. I met Yumiko when I was 24, and so I've been basically, married to her ever since. I stopped looking. The very date that I met her, I stopped looking. She was the one for me, and it remains so, and will always be so. But so a man is in my age, at age 50, after a long, 2.5 decades with my partner, to be faced with a long period of alone time. That's an interesting prospect. There's a lot you can do in that time, especially for someone like me who enjoys adventure and activities and outings and cerebral activities, poetry, making videos, so many things. And before I came over, I actually did play with the idea, and I asked myself, I challenged myself, what would you do with the time you have to yourself? Then I thought it was just a few months. And one of the things I entertained was I would write a book. I thought I'd do that. Another one was I would finish cleaning up and cataloging all of my videos on YouTube and all their disparate channels. Get it all, put a bow on YouTube. And other ideas were to charitable stuff that I could do, get involved in some sort of charities, or because it's always been something I've wanted to do more of that. And I did experiment a little more with that during this time. Came up with some stuff. I didn't talk much about it, but it's something that I'm going to be doing year in, year out. So I did establish that. But it's interesting to look back at what I actually did, and then compare that to the same opportunity that happened when I was 26. I had the exact same thing happen, and what happened then. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened this time, and then compare that to the 26-year-old me who had this experience. So the reality is that I came over here, and it wasn't like I had a year of free time. I was very, very busy, taking on a full-time job in a very challenging career in an industry that's unforgiving, and climbing a learning curve that was formidable and very high. So it wasn't like I had a lot of free time, but I did have free time. I work 5 days every week, and then 4 days every other week. You know what I mean? So I have a 3-day weekend every other week. It's a lot of fun stuff you can do. So what I did, in essence, I didn't write a book. I didn't, although I did. Come to think of it, I did. So I did write a book. And I don't talk much about it, but I did, in fact, do it. It kind of came about. And I did a lot of adventuring. I did some YouTube cleanup, not much. I did the charity thing. So I did a lot of those things, but the one thing that I really didn't do was enjoy myself. And the one thing that I didn't do was I'm coming to the end of this 14 months alone, and I have, and this is sincere, I have no wish to continue this. I've had enough of this. I had enough of this in the first month. I had enough of this in the first damn week. First few days even. Now, in a moment I'm going to talk about the experience that I had at 26 and harken back to that. The benefit that came of this experience was not anything that I produced out as a result of it. No writing or YouTube videos or change of activity or even the career change. What came of it, the benefit that came of it, was the experience of it and the recognition that what I want is my family and the life that we share and enjoy together. And that thing that my wife and I have created over these years is my life. That what I do as Softy Papa or band in Japan or Kurt Bell adventuring, all that stuff, that's just the proverbial icing on the cake. That is the avocation to the vocation, which is being a family man. So, I had a year to myself. I had 14 months to myself. And I made good use of that time. I solidified my career. I made it through my probation. I proved myself worthy of keeping at work. And I did indeed climb that learning curve. I feel competent now in my role at work. In fact, I've been offered a promotion. And I feel worthy of that promotion, and I will. Whereas when I first showed up, I felt unworthy of the job. I felt like, no, it's not that. I felt like I could do the job. I just felt like my skill set was lacking. That it was dusty and worn, and it was like a tool that you hadn't used for a while. It was like, is it really going to work? That's what I felt like. Now I know it works, and now I know it's better, and now I know it's industry standard, and I'm ready to go on, accept that promotion and go on to the next level. And so that is very useful in that regard. So I made good use of the time. But boy, oh boy, the best thing that came of it was the recognition of what I already have. How easy it would be to take that for granted. I never will. So let me speak now to the age of 26. My girlfriend, Yumiko, and I had been dating for a couple of years, and I graduated from university, and she was getting ready to go back to Japan. And that wanderlust that I sometimes speak about, that desire for adventure, really took over. And I, in a whim, I sold everything that I had in Humboldt County where I was living, and except the motorhome. I kept the motorhome, potato chip truck, and I spent $800, and I bought a Jeep, 4-wheel drive, loaded up with all my adventure stuff. Said goodbye to everybody. I said, I don't know when I'm coming back, and I took off. I've told this story before on YouTube. I took off for adventure, and I made it to a mountain range to the southwest of Baker, California, out in the desert. Baker, the home of the world's largest thermometer. And I've told this story before. I'm sorry if you've heard this before, but I made it to that mountain range, and I parked the Jeep out in the desert, and I set up camp, and I climbed to the top of a desert mountain, very similar to the mountains that I climb out here in my adventures this last year. And I sat up at the top, looking over this prehistoric valley, this great expanse, this old dried lake, Lake Manly, that had once been a Pleistocene lake. And I looked across the desert, and there was a thunderstorm on the far mountains, and I watched the lightning flashing so far away I couldn't even hear the thunder, just flashing on the mountains. Pristine, I mean, just amazing, spectacular sight, the type of thing that I went out to adventure to see. I went out to see, to be in a place on a mountaintop in a deserted desert, watching a distant lightning storm that I couldn't even hear while the sun was all about and the sun was going down at sunset. It was surreal. I mean, it was the kind of thing that I sought, I wanted. And I sat up there and I was miserable. And I just did not enjoy it. And I went back down, I stayed the night. The next thing, I got in the Jeep, and I drove all the way back to Humboldt, back to my Yumiko. And at that early age, I didn't really get it. I didn't understand what that drive was, what pulled me out of the adventure lifestyle and back to the companionship of a woman. But now I do. It's because we're a match, and despite our differences, we're not a perfect match in many ways. What I mean by that is we don't share a lot of common interests. We don't have a similar temperament. We're very different in many ways, but I love her for all those ways. She carries me where I'm weak, and I like to think I do the same for her. And we are the light in the dark, and the loud and the quiet, and the yin and the yang, perhaps, of a human couple and a family, and the foundation, and the solid base upon which our daughter's life is founded, and maybe the foundation for her life on even after she moves on. That will probably always be the rock solid base upon which, even though if she goes off and creates her own family and her own life, her character and her strength will have stemmed from. So, twice in my life, I've been given an opportunity, especially when I was 26. The sky was the limit. I never needed to come back. I could have just gone on as I had planned to do many times at that early age. I've gone on into the horizon and never come back. And I know that I made the right decision in coming back. And I know that I will carry this year alone, this 14 months alone now, as a reminder and a valuable asset in my evaluation of life and living. And I will never take my wife for granted, or the hard-won world and life that we've created together. Wasn't easy, but sure was worth it. So I'll sign off for that. So I think I cut it. So sometimes, like I said, you gotta get it. Sometimes when this strikes, I think I got it for that. Okay. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye. Oh, it's exactly 1 month. May 1st. It looks like the day they'll be here, unless something else happens. May 1st. It's almost April 1st. Okay. Ooh. Did you guys see the practical joke? The April Fool's joke that Molly's doing? You know, we're just talking about that. Good one. Okay. Talk to you later.